And so identifying what is the customer story, figuring out where you belong in that story, and then pitching it is what makes sense. And that's why I call this method as story selling, not story telling. Because storytelling is about coming and telling a story and going away. That is not for sales. Sales is about doing it from the customer's perspective, which means you have to try and identify what is the customer story. What is each one of your customers' story? And remember, it could be, if you're selling to an organization, it could be different. One organization, 3 levels, 4 levels you'll have to sell. And each level will have a different story. The CEO may be rags to riches story. Okay. Whereas the project manager may be slaying the giant story. So there are templates of stories that we will look at as well. And once you identify that and then you figure out your place in it, that is when you start selling better. Fine? Any questions till now? So what is a story? Is it just content?
So sequence of events.
Yes.
A beginning and then end with some
Muddle in the middle. Okay, fine. Anybody else has a definition for a story? Is it just content? Well, I can narrate y sine squared theta plus cos squared theta equals 1. I hope it's 1 still. Last time I checked, it was. So that is content.
There's a problem and then a solution, conflict.
Okay, go ahead.
Solution for that.
Now you're coming there. Go ahead. Problems. Okay, so there is a problem. There is some kind of a conflict, kind of a thing, and then there is a solution. Typically in the movies, separated at birth, then further problems, then Yadon ki Bharat, and then everybody hugs, and then the villain dies because he gets smashed by a train. A story is content wrapped with emotions. Most of us tend to, because we are discussing technical stuff, we tend to leave the. I mean, how many of you have used words like frustrated, sad, happy, alarmed during your sales pitches? Please lift your hands. How many of you have done that? 1, 2, 3, 4. You've done that consistently?
Actually, I was working for an NGO, so we had to call them also.
Yeah.
Families over there and talk to them regarding this. There was this thing called crowdfunding. So we had to visit in that. It wasn't exactly serious, but
Yeah. See, there's nothing called no sales. If you are making somebody behave differently from what they used to behaving, it's sales. So if you convince your daughter to eat vegetables instead of a Mac burger, it's sales. If you convince them to do their homework before they go out to play, it's sales. If you convince your husband to get you an expensive jewelry, it's sales. Or the other way around. Yeah. So I just want to give an example. This is from a famous guy called Liam Forster. I don't know how many of you know of this guy. This guy wrote Passage to India. He wrote a lot of books on colonial India. One of them was Passage to India, which is pretty famous. So he said, the queen died, the king died after a month. His content of heartbreak is a story. Queen died after a month, you might think was saving fiction. Right? Possibly. But when you put heartbreak, imagine the number of layers you're able to peel there. The king loved the queen, which is rare. Usually king loves the concubines. So this man was different. They had a great relationship. So you could think of all the things just a single sentence says, based on your value systems. And that's what is the difference between content and story. Both. B2C. B2B also is emotional. People buy based on emotions and then justify it rationally. I'll come to that. So now you've got your first exercise. All you want to do is take one of your favorite stories.
Ramesh,
Yes, sir.
because I had actually got a very brighter example for him
Ramesh, please.
to be how it works. I used to manage, I can take the name. So Walmart actually. I used to manage it. It's very funny. We struggled with the Brazil Walmart and we could not figure out what the political situation. It's very hard to first people said that they don't like India. It's fine. I cannot go and talk to Modi for that. So after maybe I think one guy came back to India and he told me, you would not believe that third party vendor who used to actually give us the requirement document in Portuguese, and every time she used to defend that the requirement document is always correct. It was not the fact because it was always out of the scope. And she proved it again and again, and finally we had to accept what she gave. And later on, we found that that lady, the head of that particular company lady, is wife of Walmart Brazil CEO.
Yep.
And probably after going home, whatever she used to tell, the Walmart CEO used to come and tell my probably boss and tell her that you ask your people to accept what she's asking. So imagine that if we thought that it's a business, it's not a business. They used to have a dialogue over the dining table. Sorry.
No. I'll give you another example. Thanks for that, because that led me to another example. My sales coach, one of his clients, one of his clients was the leading ad agency in that region. And 3 streets away was a prospect. The head of this agency and the decision maker there went to school together. Fine, they still went to the same church. And this guy, the head of this agency, sent his best salesperson, who happened to be a lady, to this guy to sell. Prospect needed the service. This guy is the best around town. They know each other well, socially. 4 meetings, and the sale was nowhere near closure. So finally, this guy, his name was John, I think, he called the other guy. They both went to lunch, and over lunch, he closed the deal. And then he asked, I sent Sarah across 4 times. Why did you close the deal? So he said, yeah, I should have. But she reminded me of my ex-wife. B2B sales. Emotions. Happens everywhere. It's crazy. So try doing this individually. Take the favorite story you have, write it in 3 sentences.
Before that, is there any other thinking methodology so that you get how the person's based on his psychology?
Yeah, you can do that. That's what we're trying to say. What's his story? The more you figure out the client's story, the better you are at selling.
But when you kind of wait for every client,
Your service is common or your product is common. You may have a customer. If it's B2C, you may have a customer segment. For example, husbands who want to cheat could be your segment. So you do what Tinder or what is the new app there is out there. No, Tinder is for everybody, but there is one which is for promoting infidelity. Something. I just heard about it. So you can have customer segments around it as well. And for that customer segment, you may have, they'll have a common story. So B2C is mass. So you need to leave out the outliers and try to market it to the most likely customer segment that you have. B2B, sorry, you'll have to do your research on individuals and companies.
Even when it comes to B2C, there are intermediaries.
Yes.
So it's usually you're dealing with another.
Yes, you can, but we're talking pure B2C, which is like, say, a Flipkart. Could be a B2C. So Uber also now has got a company discounts and stuff like that. The idea is to expand the market. I think it becomes fuzzy after some time because there is research which says that even B2B is actually B2C because you're selling to a specific role, specific customer. You either sell to L&D or to the marketing officer or to the finance guy or to the sales guy or to the production guy. So even there it becomes. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. The bigger the ticket item, the bigger the headache. Even we had a little discussion before we started. We can discuss that a little later. So please write your stories. 3 sentences. And one sentence cannot be, some 20 lines. MGR style. MGR used to have one sentence. I don't know if you guys know about MGR. He was the chief minister before Jayalalitha and before Karnal. Sorry, I'm of a slightly different generation. Good, because this is the first one. Based on this, we are developing this. Please write your story. Want to tell you something? Okay. Does anyone want to start telling? We need some spare pens. Our pencil is missing. Once you got something, everybody preferential become that. That's another story. Pictures around the way. There were major modern media, which is nothing but a story. Yeah. But you'll need a little more than that.
Does it have to be the famous story or
Whatever is your favorite show? No, take your whatever favorite story you listen to. Cinderella.
Long stories.
No stories. Your favorite no story. Good. Thanks for that. Movie also has stories. Yes. Yeah. One more this Shippy. Sholay. Whoever. Whatever. But only 3 sentences. And the sentence should not exceed 15 to 20 words. Don't write paragraphs there. The idea is brevity. And that's why I've given you 20 minutes. If the idea wasn't brevity, I would have given you 5 minutes. Because you need to start thinking that way. Done. Okay. All done? I am. See, the thing is, I had actually planned for 5:30 to 8:30. I was the timing, no?
That's okay. Generally, people we give this time, people go from your time.
Okay, then fine.
I think we have to take them out.
Actually, you can cut the YouTube during exercise. You'll do the edits later. You're recording it. We watch it. Yes. Oh, wow.
We have a time.
I hope they get it.
I guess
No, I hope they do. Because live experience is different from
Facebook. There will be the kind of easy. Then they will come. Facebook never. If they YouTube.
he can it. So the Tamils will get this. Tamil means monkey.
Successful things to do, very successful.
I wasn't very successful, which is why I do coaching.
Look at what is that story and connect.
You must actually come when you are actually part of that culture. What is it? Which is
Usually difficult.
actually enjoy that moment.
And sometimes, see, most of the time it works. But over the years, I've learned to moderate because one feedback that I got in fact, from Mr. Praveen, great sense of humor, but you need to be careful.
Inky is a conservative setup.
Not that.
Fine tuning happens
It takes time to fine tune. But I would say default should be, keeping a little amount of humor in it because.
And every time we actually develop our own thing, one validation I got is that I think maybe somebody if you went there to
Subra, you have to be louder because once again there are spaces here, backbenchers. Please come this side so that you can. I know you're not. How many seats? There are 2 here, but you can also squeeze one more chair there.
as you are squeezed there.
You can squeeze one more chair here, and there are 2 seats here also. If it's I think from here, can you see this? I can see this from here. So one more chair can come here. Can't go there.
Talking about that when you are certain circumstances, your sense of humor increases significantly because you are not running away from that situation. And being human or being what you are, your heart remains more than the mind. When you enjoy being there. And when your heart is there, definitely you will see a lighter movement that what is there and I used to think about it. So one validation that I got from the books, made in America, Time Warden says one more topic says you say that first don't take their job so seriously that you can't perform. It's almost like cricket, I'm telling you. You think that I'm like a trouble and my technique is so perfect, you don't see the ball even. You focus on your technique.
Okay, have you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, the guy who finished first. Sorry, sir, I don't know your name.
My name is Jayraj.
Hi, Jayraj. Can you come or standing there, read your story?
It's a real story. Long ago, there was a king. His wife was kidnapped by a villain. King killed villain and brought back his son.
Okay, so that's Ramayana basically. Brilliant. Anybody else has a story? Yes, sir. Your Mahabharata in 3 sentences. Absolutely brilliant. Mahabharata condensed to 3 sentences. I would love to hear that.
King Dhritarashtra had 100 sons called Kauravas, and Kauravas had 5 cousins called Pandavas. First sentence valid. Kaurava and Pandava fought an epic war over kingdom, woman, and ethics. Barabar? Pandava won the war, but everybody lost eventually.
Absolutely brilliant. Everybody lost eventually. Yeah, post the war, I think everybody is thinking, even Krishna gets killed. Everybody gets finished. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No, we don't need a break. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had one addition. I just said an account of 5 brothers who win over 100 of their cousins in a war that lasts, I don't remember the days, but it was 51 days. Okay, and then they do so with the help of a friend, Krishna, who teaches them how good should triumph over evil, and has all possible human emotions at display throughout the story.
Great. So we were supposed to take a break, so let us all imagine that we've taken a break. Yes. Imagine reality. So I've told you the story, so this is the story. You've all taken a break. Fine. What do great stories have in common? They have 3 things in common, according to Aristotle, not according to me. By the way, most of what I'm saying is all research stuff. It's not, none of it is my opinion except the idea. The idea of story selling is mine. It's evolved over time. And I have built on a lot of giants, particularly the Daniels. Daniel Kahneman, Daniel Chip, Daniel Pink, and Daniel Rome. So 4 Daniels were there, of course, and others as well. And plus a little bit of my experiences all over the place. So, first thing it has is pity. Now, what's pity? It's about earning the empathy of the reader to the protagonist of the story, or the hero of the story, or the heroine. If you're taking the latest Star Wars, it's the heroine. Fine? The second part of the story is about fear. Not fear for you like in those cheap horror flicks, Conjuring and others. Even there, while you feel fear, the more fear you feel is for the characters and for the hero inside the story. And that's what gets reflected. And the more empathetic you are, the more fear you feel. Which is why I don't watch. I can get teary-eyed with a simple family drama. So I have very high empathy, which is why I can't watch horror movies. The last one I watched was Poltergeist, and it was a huge mistake. I couldn't sleep for the next 30 days properly. I don't watch X-Files, by the way. X-Files, when it comes, I change the channel. Maybe I'm a little bit of a coward as well. That's a different thing. So fear for the hero. And then the catharsis. What's the catharsis? Catharsis is the hero overcoming the fear. He may die in the process. But, for example, Romeo and Juliet, both are heroes in that story. They both die. The family feud is the fear element that comes in. Catharsis is they kill each other, they die, and then the families mourn them. So that's catharsis. How does one overcome fear? Harry Potter, he willingly goes to his death. And then, of course, the whole scene. I don't know how many of you have seen Harry Potter, or a few. And Sleeping Beauty, that's the case. So all of this, most stories, this is the simplest form of a story. Successful stories have these 3 elements. So now comes the next exercise. After every concept we have, even for that example, it's not just limited to the world of stories. Even music can tell you stories. Most of Beethoven's symphonies, if you've heard of them, so Beethoven symphonies, for example, the first symphony, the piano concerto number 4, where the piano is the wife and the entire orchestra is the husband. And so initially they have this sympathy, coming up because this thing, and then they have a conflict, they fight and these things, and then finally it resolves. So most of Beethoven's symphony endings would be all happy endings, which are in major chords. Sad endings are usually in minor chords. So that's what Beethoven also did, one of the master composers in music. The music telling the story. So now, take the same story, but now start, your first sentence is about gaining the sympathy for the hero. But you must have a, what's your story? Pardon me? Yeah, there is a story, there is a history, there is a story in that. There is a hero. I mean, in the sense it is, he is the protagonist. Yeah. And you feel pity for him because lonely shepherd, guarding it, seeks attention, probably deprived of attention. So bring out the pity factor. See, even villains become only interesting if you're able to, even if the villain is the number one, the most important character there. If you think about it, they will try to bring in some sympathy to it, unless it's a pure evil villain like Gabbar Singh. But there you have the heroes to take care of it. I know how many of you have seen Daredevil, the series. So the famous villain is Wilson Fisk. So a lot of time is devoted as to how Wilson Fisk became this evil person. The reason is he is also a very important character. So try to bring out how you can make you can make the reader feel pity for the protagonist. Believe me, it's all will come related to business context very soon. So don't think it's just a simple storytelling session. It is and it's going to get a little more difficult. So if you want to form groups within your companies, you please go ahead and also for the next exercises, you can start doing it in groups if you want. But right now, do it individually. 3 sentences. Pity, fear, catharsis. Now you guys will have it. Okay. John? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Actually, what I was telling was when you said 3 sentences,
Yes.
the story ends up that way. So it was like I written it that way only.
Good.
Most probably for others also, because they've written more sentences than that.
No, because otherwise, when you say usually write a story, we all head back to our 10th standard, 8th standard. Then additional sheets have to be this thing because we all believe that teachers have this string. The more the string, the longer the string, the greater the marks. Or weighing machines. You put it on the machine, how many kilos? You have to fear for the person. Okay. So in this example, Darth Vader wants to harm whatever. So he becomes the fear himself. In Harry Potter, the fear is true. In this case, fear is himself. Darth Vader kills Anakin. Symbolically, he is Anakin. But, so those are the little nuances in the story that make it interesting. But the basic structure remains the same. So nuances is for a longer one day 10-hour workshop or 2 days, 16-hour workshops. There are a lot of nuances which you can use. But this is basics, and this is about trying to shift your mind to thinking in stories so that you can then start thinking about your clients in terms of stories. What is a story? We ask that sometimes. What's a story? Especially if a guy is behaving weirdly, we ask him, what's his story? Yeah? Why is he behaving like this? Finished? How many of you still need work? 2 minutes. Else the rest of them are going to using fear. Pardon me? Thanks. Okay, who wants to? I think I want to hear the Mahabharat one once more, and then we'll go to others who have.
So the pity. Pandavas were 5 elder and more capable brothers, but unfortunately lost the kingdom to 100 of their less capable cousins. Okay, little bit pity. Now fear. Powerful Kauravas and their entire court, army, and kingdom set out to destroy Pandavas. Good. Pandavas fought hard and gave their all to kill 100 cousins, but realized the futility of it all in the end.
Brilliant. Imagine how the story has changed. If he works a little more on the pity bit, this is much better than the first bit. Yes, sir. Yours.
Exactly.
Yes.
So 5 brothers were deprived of their land and sent out to jungle by 100 conniving cousins. And then, so pretty part. Then fear is they come back after their tenure and request only 5 villages, but the 100 brothers refuse to give them even 5 villages without a war. And the catharsis is they fight the war with their friend, they help with their friend Krishna and win the war and rule the whole kingdom. So
Brilliant. Okay, now we'll go to somebody else. Sir, you, sir.
Okay, so I kind of work probably the same way as the so this is about the movie Shashank.
Yeah, that's a beautiful movie. Yeah.
So I did really original. A user man is wrong. Is wrong. He suffers and he suffers in the beginning, but knows to have self-control and plans escape. He works through gaining friendship with
Morgan
external business.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and defends the environment as well. But all along he's trying for his escape. Time comes, he plans to escape and
Brilliant. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Oh, brilliant.
So like he just joined the top looking so like and be of pressure. So not for investing, not in the company just because of clients in the struggle. So he builds a team with the management and people. Then he builds an empire who can sell coaching.
Yes.
That's all.
Good. Little more work, but good. A little more fear needs to be there. The law agency is coming behind him. Pity can be about his, all of that. So if you work on that, see, the thing is, you have to sympathize with the hero. you need to make the reader or the listener sympathize with the hero, because only then will also fear for the hero. If you don't sympathize with the hero, then right? Yes.
I think the sequence was all because suffering, there is a struggle.
Yes. Suffering
I see
is
those elements more in the story
yes.
because catharsis is a very strong word. And
Well, I didn't use the word. Aristotle did, and I think he was a little better thinker than I am ever going to be. So that's why I don't want to fight with Nobel laureates and ancient philosophers. I agree. Suffering is the same. The suffering is pity means unless the person you send him through suffering, pity doesn't happen. Right? We'll have one more story. Yes.
The story which I wrote was actually based on one of the early jazz guitarists in the 1920s, Django Reinhardt.
Okay.
So Django lost his mother at a very early stage of his life. He met with an accident a few years later, not damaging his two fingers. He went on to become one of the greatest jazz guitarists of the world.
Okay, the two fingers. If you expand on the two fingers, brilliant story. If you expand on those two fingers, not helping him, being rejected in places, then the pity as well as the fear for his success becomes much more. And then, somebody comes, maybe a mentor, and then helps him to succeed. So that story would be a great story. It's a brilliant story. You've done it. Anybody else wants to volunteer? Okay. Yeah. Anybody else?
My story was about Lucas athletics.
Yes.
His childhood with pity. The incident happened made him here. That ended with his successful life as a musician.
So good. The idea is when you go to a client place also, or when you're looking to prospect, or when you're looking to do your customer segments, what is the thing that you can pity about the customer? Lonely husbands for that website, right? I'm just thinking a little. Or time-starved couples for buying groceries from, what is that? Groffer and whatever that big basket, yeah, Shah Rukh Khan comes. So the idea is that's the bit about the pity, and then the fear is loss of time, loss of relationship, loss of not having time with the daughter or with the child, or missing their functions or whatever it is. The catharsis is about ordering it online. So that's how you start thinking about it. And that can turn your pitches quite drastically. Because most of the time, most of your pitches, if I see what I've seen, your opening PPT start will be either about us. Okay. I don't have a flip chart, but let me draw an imaginary line here. All of you think that I've drawn it. It's called the hammock. Imagine a hammock. Can you imagine a hammock? Right? When people start listening to you, they are somewhere at around the 70% attention level. This is proven. Why? Because later when recall tests were done, they remembered about 70% of what your opening was. And within 1 to 2 minutes, it goes down to 20%. And then it comes up towards the end, when you say in summary, people wake up and it becomes 100%. This is proven as a hammock effect. But what do we do when it's at 70%? About us. Or some of the people, very technical, their product is a technology masterpiece, and all that will start with an architecture diagram. I've seen presentations which start with an architecture diagram. Okay. And then, so once that architecture diagram is put up or about us is put up, fine. When you're actually discussing what the problem is, etc., your listener is typically at 20% attention level. And then finally, when it comes up, closing, it's very nice presentation, very good presentation. Maybe one or two will ask some questions. There will always be one or two people who will take notes and then ask you some obscure questions. And so you will also answer them, and you come back saying, great presentation. He nailed this client. The client doesn't even know what he's going to do for you, what you're going to do for him. Why? Because he was at 20%. That's what happens in real life. And that's why having attention grabbers and making stories and things like that makes spikes.
This is only for group presentation.
No, it's even one-on-one. I've seen,
personal attention.
Oh, you married? People who are married, please educate them. Yes. No, it's okay. We can put it there, but it's okay. Done it. I think all of you got my imaginary line, right? 70, 20, 100. Yes. Okay. And remember one little thing here. How did I do my 70, 20, 100? I did it so that as an audience, you see it left to right. Because you're visually oriented from left to right. Whereas most of the time when we do a presentation, we will do like this. Which is the other way around. For me, it's left to right. And that's how people do it. So keep that in mind. It's always about the audience. It's not about you. It's about the prospect. It's not about you. Just a simple aside. Okay. And the most important thing about the story is not the characters. It's not you. It's the audience. Can I tell the Donald Trump Al Gore story, the Al Gore story, to a bunch of kindergarten people? Even 5th standard, 8th standard? Tough. Right? So the audience becomes the most important thing when you do your presentation. So you will meet different people when you go on your calls and you're meeting people. Different people having different sets of stories. Typically what we say is that most of the lower level people in an organization tend to think of survival. Will I have a job next year? Or nowadays, if you're in IT services, next quarter. Middle layer thinks of significance. Am I doing something significant to earn the attention of people about me? The top layer typically thinks of relevance and legacy. Am I relevant to the industry? Am I leaving a legacy? Those are the 3 prime thoughts that they tend to have. And therefore, based on who you're pitching to, you need to do your research, you need to do and have this little model in your mind. Middle layer is significance. Middle layer. Boss has to tell me I have done a good job, I am indispensable. Lower layer typically is survival. Now you can do it in groups. This is the exercise now. You've already done it for a story. Now you know your clients, you know who you want to pitch to. What would evoke pity or sympathy in your prospect or client? Which is related to your product and service, not about, sir, yesterday I had a leg pain, and, severe, and I think it may be cancer. Not that kind of pity. Yeah, so please give me business so that I can fund my medical bills. That's pity. That's not pity. Right? What would, think of who the client would identify with first. You've got a client. Who would the client identify with? Either his customers or his peers or his people. Right? That's what he would identify. So think of something that would evoke pity in your prospect for a peer or for his people. Can you do that?
So what is it? Part 1 and acceleration. So they are divided or what?
Part 1 is pity. Part 2 is fear. Part 3 is catharsis.
Same thing we have.
Same thing, but now in the business setting, think of a story or whatever which would evoke pity in your prospect. So it has to be a peer. Typically, I mean, you don't go and say, I pity you, right? You don't do that. So you can talk about somebody who is equivalent to his in another place, right? Typically, I mean, you could start off saying, another client of ours, he was the CXO, and he had this daily firefighting, and he couldn't execute his things. And then there was a little, obviously things led to it. Company was not performing well, and his job probably was also in danger. And then we'll go to the next part.
In this scenario, it's a group set.
Yes. No, I'm saying if you've got company, if you're from the same company or something, group it. Otherwise, do it individually. You have prospects, right? I hope all of you have prospects. Right? You all have potential clients, right? Why is it? Oh my God. Why are you thinking so much? I thought that was a simple yes or no answer. Yes. Potential clients. Potential clients are possible. You're okay there, guys? A client, see, how would you get a client interested? The client runs a business. Guys, he asked an important question. He said, can you repeat the question louder?
So basically, when you say PT, depending on the buyer's role,
Yes.
what would typically goes to
The same. So, yeah. So who does the client identify himself with? Or who can you make the client identify with? His own team, his own team members, his own customers, his own peers in the industry. You know the amount of bitching that goes on, between employees of different companies. Half the company secrets go away. You all have this no USB, full security, this thing, that thing, and he'll go, hey, yeah, I'm working on this deal, the $1 billion or $700 million deal. That sales fellow is really hitting us, man. And this guy will be working in another company where he'll say, yeah, we are also working on the same deal, man. Full confidentiality contract. Here stop. Leaders gossip. The higher you go in the hierarchy, the more you gossip. But because gossip is the fundamental way in which you share stories about people. So as leaders, you know more people, so the more you gossip. Yes, sir. No. Don't, guys, sorry, I didn't start off with this. Do not discount yourself. Don't discount yourself, don't discount others. You also start to do the discounting statement, no. Full on. Yes. Yes. Fine. How would you, who are you cold calling? And what do you say to them? Can you speak louder so that, Yes. Go ahead. So this thing is, he is in a call center and his prospects are US, UK citizens. Go ahead. What are you selling? Yes. The British gas, and they have to switch to Thames gas or whatever, right? Yeah. So fine. So can you start with a story about somebody else having problems with his existing supplier? Assume your client. Which client do you work for? Energy? No. Which company is selling the gas? Yes. Yeah. So you obviously sell to subscribers who are not subscribed to this list of companies, but are subscribed to either British Gas or somebody else or whatever, or ONGC for all I care. X to Y. So can you talk about, and you know who is this client? You know? Okay, you may not have. But can you talk about, so when you start off, you do a checklist whether he is part of your subscription or not, right? And if he is not, then you ask them, which is your gas agency you are subscribed to? Then can you make a story about how another customer of yours had problem with this company? That's your pity. The guy was having a difficult time, winter, cold, and gas supply was cut off because of some incorrect billing, and they didn't recognize his bills. You come to us, none of this happens. So your first part of the story is about pity for another customer who had a problem with his existing supplier. Pity. Fear. You can even take it. And if you continue in this way, who knows what will happen? Because you guys are getting old, whatever. Yeah.
Giving them training on what is entrepreneurship and how to become affiliates.
Hey guys.
That is all theoretical part.
Oh, you're all on case study. Go ahead.
And also give them some market exercise so they also become.
Yes.
They do the market exercise. Theoretical as well as market exercise becomes a practical approach.
Yes.
And then they are given certified.
Yes.
They get some kind of certification. And then they become affiliates for any of the products or services.
Yes.
Fine. Pan-India project.
Fine.
This is the first step towards entrepreneurship for potentially interested women.
Yes.
So,
How pity.
yeah.
Think about one of your clients. What was her state before she took this program? That's one. No. Second, think of the state of a person who did not take your program but did entrepreneurship and failed. So you've got two stories there, two pity stories there, not just one.
So the customer would be an internal customer as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whoever he gets to identify with, if it's a CIO, 90% of his headache is from his own users. Yeah, you can. It's just that everybody is in a case study mode. Go ahead.
One more thing is, I will tell you also about it, how it actually goes into your sales process. One of the retailers, okay, operating in India. So the video call them is that because this is a cashing service responsible for the business entity. So there are common things cannot actually evaluate membership. So in order to tell the beginning because the similar multinational again many are operating in India. Taken the case from them is that if you suppose the validation of the membership is not done properly, what could happen to them? Yes. So the reason is that because we only follow business, and you know, we all are part of Indian area. We all try to get into those wholesale price, having a paid membership into it, and get 40-50% discount. And invariably 30-40% of the members are like that. That's a pity. And the year that created on the other, the years of that global retail giant, is that year is that if this is actually captured and bought by the Indian government, you are a serious wholesale and you are doing multi-retail here. So that means you are absolutely violating the nation's whole policy. You would be asked to wrap up your business next day without any warning.
And reputational harm.
Reputational harm globally. So once this is stored and it is validated because it has happened to their peer.
Yeah.
So that's a very small practical.
Yeah. So think of it that way. Your customers will feel pitiful, will identify with their own peers or fear for their customers. Because remember, if you don't satisfy your customer, the customer is moving elsewhere. So they'll be worried about their customers. They'll identify with customers. So you can start your story by saying, one of the companies that I worked for, their customers were unhappy because they had to go through a lot of transactions before they could get their product or get their service. And this meant a lot of frustration between the customer service department and the client. So you can start. Once you start, actually you can't stop. You have to restrain yourself to stop it. The idea is to get you thinking towards that. And unless you have somebody on whom the client can have pity, don't make a sale. Because you're just wasting your breath. Sit at home.
I may add that the basic experience or the knowledge or the policies that I gained out of this. So important that underneath skills that you need to have for PT and peer is immense. Why I can tell you that the moment the PT is there, because that's an experience that you have done something. And I'm telling you that any other client, either B2B or B2B, they start listening because you are telling something true, something that you have experienced, it's not something put up. Second, clear is that if you support that with your knowledge, like policies, data, next 4 years it's going to be like this. So slowly the probably even feel or probably the complacent attitude of the client thinking that I am at a very confident position and I have done enough to protect myself. Slowly it will translate into fear. He said, no man, next 1 year probably could be possible either my competitors will go up or I will start perishing. So that knowledge underneath the fear is going to actually help you.
One of the real life examples that I can give is when somebody asked me, one of potential clients, tell me why. So I said, I'm giving you 3 numbers. 30, 90, infinity. Your salespeople waste 30% of their time, productive time, in creating collaterals, recreating collaterals. 90% of those collaterals are used only once. An infinite number of messages go out for the same platform that you have. Case closed. When can we start working to get the messages out clear? So you can use numbers to create a story, to create the pity, the fear, and the catharsis. You can use pictures. 30% of their productive time. 30% of productive time is huge, man. Has everyone finished the exercise? The pity part? Guys, 1 minute. Then we can share. Everyone can start sharing. Sorry. Guys, have you all finished? Is that a yes or a no or a maybe or a I don't know? Yes. Yes, guys, that you've been very quiet. I want you to come and tell the story. Tell me. But me?
Maybe I can't wait for
Okay. Okay, fine. What about you? That's the reason. I came after you came. Okay. So the rest are finished. Okay, so you can tell the story. Loud so that the YouTubers also can hear.
So the product is education schools and schools for education. So about video multimedia. That's the one. So the hospital is fun. And we are trying the way to get their attention.
Mahesh, if you don't mind, can you come?
You can speak to the camera there. Sumana, you can also. I will disappear. It was difficult for me.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to basically explain what is the kind of how a pity
Should I just brief them about the product? Sure. Okay, the product is a learning management system meant for schools. It's a platform where educational videos can be uploaded by the school for the students to consume. And the USP is that the videos are highlighted so that students can watch important segments repeatedly and also get to watch a summarized version of the video in a shorter time.
So how do you summarize it?
Because of the bookmarks that are there, metadata that's there.
Hey, don't get into this technology. that is using PHP, Python, Java, C++, COBOL, everything. Okay. And assembler also.
Yeah, so we were discussing how the prospect being the principal or the management, typically the principal, how do you go picking? So when you said numbers, it occurred to me that if you just put across numbers like 25% of your kids are going to be RT. Yes, that means you're going to have kids who are underprivileged background, etc., coming into your school. Then you have another 50% or maybe 80% of the kids, today's kids, are constantly involved with gadgets and very used to visual and multimedia kind of interfacing. And then you have another X% who are hardly very hyperactive because of the kind of food they eat. So these are numbers which you put and say, now tell me with the current set of coaching methodology you have.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Just focus on the PT right now.
Right. The PT is these are your numbers. 30% of your kids are RT. Then you have another remaining.
No, RT is right education. Principles. the way to slightly this thing is principals like you have this problem. And I was speaking to another other institution, and he was sharing his concerns with me. And 25% of the children are RTE children don't come from a thing. And how does he integrate them? How does he make them learn better? That's causing sleepless nights for him. He's really worried about it because it impacts his performance. It impacts his, how his correspondent will deal with him. And his general standing as a good headmaster really gets into a lot of trouble. On top of that, you have kids with serious attention deficits now. Actually, the world itself has gone to that extent that the average human attention span is 8.25 seconds, which is less than that of a goldfish, which has a 9-second attention span. That's research by them. And therefore, he again has this serious problem of managing these kids, motivating his teachers to do better, and because of this attention deficit, he has this problem that he can't teach repeatedly. Enough pity? Enough pity? Enough pity? So that's how it's a beautiful idea. You built on it. I just built on it. That's what I do for you.
Actually, when you mention numbers, it's just
perfectly going. So the numbers create the story themselves, but look at the emotions behind it. He's worried about it, he's frustrated, he's afraid that he'll lose his job or his correspondence will not, his standing as a reputation, all that. You have to add the bells and whistles to it and make it also conversation. Most of us, I don't know, when we speak to our friends, we speak this way. But when we get into a presentation hall, good morning, I'm here to talk about products. We get into this huge formal positioning. And we make ourselves still, no, go ahead, tell the story. So if you prepare the story, then you can tell it. Tell it as if you're telling it across the thing. You did it very nice. Thank you. So that's how you amplify. Wouldn't the other principal not listen to this? Wouldn't your other customer listen to this if you add these things? See, not 100% will listen. A lot of them will say, I don't need a service. In fact, there is one joke about why, I don't know, this was in 2005 was it? The first large deal, ABN AMRO deal came to Infosys. So there was a running joke about Mr. Premji, why Wipro did not participate in that deal. Apparently, ABN AMRO called him and said, sir, I'm calling from ABN AMRO. Mr. Premji said, I don't want your credit card. So, I don't want your gas connection. You will get banked up. That will happen. But at least for the people who will listen, who have the time, this is it. And you have to work on a little book statement. That's a different topic altogether. We'll look at that.
Give an example.
I didn't know. I just said 30. I give you 3 numbers. 30, 90, infinitive. Immediately, what is 30, 90, infinitive? What?
Creating curiosity.
Yes. Or memorable insight, as we call it. So, pity. One more exercise. One more person, please. Sir, you, sir. What's your name? You're still working on it. Who's finished? Done.
And if you are after also, don't mind coming over here. I will tell you that because this will be a
this is a
mind exercise for that.
This is a fail-safe environment. This is not an environment where you're being evaluated, judged. This is a learning environment. You can fail as many times as possible.
And see that how far you are actually able to think that you have actually understood the meaning of the.
Okay, just a quick.
Louder?
Sure. So, quick intro about the company which we started. So, we provide a service where we are like a property management firm where we kind of take houses from the owners and we put it in advertisement on the portal and we take end-to-end property management so that they need not get into day-to-day monitoring of the properties, and they just can realize the rents at the end of the month. So the thing is, the catch is that in this, for providing all the day-to-day management of the property, we charge a service fee. So now we want to kind of sell this thing that, okay, so we have this particular service. So the way I would approach is that, which I was discussing with my wife, is that, see, these days everything has become, people are really busy. And other day I was discussing with one of my friends who was like relocating to US, and he was really tense as to I bought a very good house, and I kind of trusted on my relatives and my parents that they will help me in terms of putting it for rent. But unfortunately, they got busy with something else, and they couldn't put much attention. I lost close to 2 months of rent. So this is, and every day everyone is busy. You cannot blame your relatives also because they have their own life. It's not that they will spend time with, only looking forward for the tenants for your house. So we know that everything is busy and people want everything as a convenience. So even renting, making your property or putting out for rent is a problem out there. And it should be as convenient as ordering something as a book from a Flipkart. So that's what we come in terms of taking all those.
That is your pitch.
Yeah. So that's the pity which I was trying to say.
Okay. Can I improve on your pitch?
Sure.
One of my clients actually, he had this place for rent, and he was going out to the US, and he had aged parents. And this rental income is what was supposed to support his parents, so that he doesn't have this problem of NRI, all those accounts and things. Plus, he was trying to make a living there. It would be difficult for him to keep this and all that. This was what he was depending upon. And through some broker, somebody, he got some person. They lent it and he took the advance, so that was put in the bank and that interest was given. But after 2 months, this guy actually stopped paying the rent. And this guy had to fly back all the way there, and he had to spend about 6 months, multiple things to get rid of that client. And his parents had to be supported. It was not a joke because they were old, they needed medical care, they needed all that. And this was really troubling him. More bidding? More bidding? No, but this has to be a true story. You need to, if you have clients, you need to sift. It need not be your client. It could be somebody else also who had the situation. Get the names out. This thing. And if you can say, if you want, call. I'll give you the number.
But if you don't identify the situation, they could say, I really don't have that situation, neither that money is that very important to be let me manage it.
Fine. Yes, but do you want to spend that much time doing it? And you want to get into this risk of a tenant not paying you? You want to get into all that? Introduce the fear there. First, the pity. The pity doesn't get it. The fear should get it.
And probably you scenarios with you, then you take up end-to-end kind of maintenance. Yeah. It's not only the rent. Probably something has gone down. Something is not. So will the parents actually, age parents will come and repair them? No. It's you who is actually taking care of them on his behalf. So
yeah. And if you do your research, you will know what kind of a client you have. And based on it, you will modify the story. Yes. What would you pity somebody in your prospect? So you can't have one story for all of them. I was just expanding on one story.
Okay, you end up saying that I don't have age.
No, we never see. It could be a last customer who I don't want to.
I was made, not born. Got it? How do you invoke pity? Remember the pity? Remember what are you doing? It's a customer story. It's a prospect story. Not your story. You're not telling your story. You're telling a prospect's story. Next exercise. Fear. Expand on it. Because of the pity, who are the villains here? What are the obstacles? Who are the villains? What situation will they be afraid of? Given that they're already you've already evoked pity. So the person has started identifying what is it that endangers his status, his existence, his survival, or even his prosperity, or his safety, whatever it is. Reputation. Could be anything. What endangers it? You're able to follow? Yes. Because I'm going to ask you. Precisely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Banking, I will tell you that when the vessel 1, vessel 2, vessel 3.
For your case. IAS 35.
It was easier to get the project. To tell that, you go to next 3 years. You don't actually, best thing I'll tell you that what I am experiencing. The fear actually works for you with respect to their budget. The first thing that client tells you that even after getting interest with you, tell them, oh man, you came late, my budget is already approved and I have already allocated. The moment you create the fear,
Budgets get big.
he will change the budget. From the top, bottom 10, you will come to the first.
Why do you think IT industry came up? Y2K. Planes will fall from the sky. Nothing else. That's because we did a good job. We did. We did, yeah. How many Y2K projects I did? You know, my initial career growth was thanks to Y2K. It was my chapati shot. It's 400 COBOL.
Share market is there, your healthcare is there.
So those are very obvious, but there it's, I mean, the challenge is not to be so obvious, because if you're being very morbid, then people don't like you. You can't say, you know, I think you're going to get cancer in 5 years. Better take insurance. You will hate me for it. Right? So there is some nuances are needed there. Yeah, I know, that's what yes, yes. So that's to evoke that one. My husband did not do the fair term insurance. What was she doing? Huh?
He ordered.
No, she's sitting at home. Either she was working or sitting at home. She was working, she should have taken. I don't feel pity for her. The way she says it also, I think the whole blame is on that poor dead fellow. Yeah. Galidiri.
No woman is working on chart, husband is supposed to take care of the insurance. I mean, that's where they were playing with it.
Yes, right. Yeah, I agree. I think they must have done a bit of market research, but I wasn't feeling empathetic towards her. And that was a young lady, yeah, she can get married. Yeah, yeah.
But pity and the fear, if as genuine as it can be, because you can figure it out.
You can't flip. You have to take a real case. It could be even another client of another organization. Doesn't matter. No. You have to. You have to. Otherwise, you must at least have a conversation with a customer, with another prospect, which you can replay. Like I've done it once. This was when we both were working. There was a CEO of a finance major who would come. So I got introduced. And so I asked him, so he asked me what do you do and all that. So at that time I didn't know all this. So I went to Gaga. I was in charge of maintenance services. So I went Gaga over how we do maintenance, who we are, how great we are, and all that. But at least I had the sense to say, ask him, what are your problems? What is your problem? He was the CIO, I'm sorry. He said, my problem is small-minded people making small-minded requests of the IT department. Oh, the number of places I've used that dialogue. I keep using it. And CIOs typically resonate with it. I don't think he was a client. He became a client, but I don't think he was a client. So you can replay dialogues that you've had, but it has to be genuine. People can see through your inauthenticity very fast. And that's the worst place to be in. If you're not authentic, you start sounding like a used car salesman. Little louder.
It's more a series of steps to say, I related to the person.
Yes.
I was able to have a common ground,
Yes.
commonality between two. That's the one that makes the stage.
Brilliant. What is the commonality, sir?
So, I mean, I was saying that there's not having a pity and there is this, the other aspect of non-pity part and non-fear part, which is more of we all have the same thing going on. And we have the same thing going on. We have the same struggle. There is some empathizing part, which also sells.
It also sells. The idea is to maximize your chances.
Yes.
Fine. So I will talk about what one Nobel laureate said. Not me, Nobel laureate. Right? There's a guy who I talked about 4 Daniels. So this guy is Daniel Kahneman. He's the only psychologist who won an economics Nobel Prize. He did his work with his colleague called Amos Tversky. Amos Tversky unfortunately passed away before the Nobel Prize was awarded. And Nobels are only awarded to living people, not to dead people. Otherwise, we'll have a serious problem. No, because everybody will say, Jesus Christ ko de do, Krishna ko de do, Rama ko de do, Muhammad ko de do. I mean, just go. So Nobel Prize said nothing to it. We'll do it only for living people. So, unfortunately, because of that, only Daniel Kahneman won the prize. And his theory is called the prospect theory. Sorry.
Any more pity and fear?
Any more pity and fear? What did you write? Sorry.
Pity and fear experience?
To miss the punchline of this.
Oh, your startup, you can easily talk about that. Even I can talk on your behalf.
We'll address that.
This is enough, I think.
Can everybody see this? You can see You guys can come probably here, stand for a little. Listen for me, I should have brought sketch pens. Because I have this Samsung software. बड़ा बेस बॉक्स भी है लेकिन वो बहुत बड़ा है. We're waiting for the sketch pen because this will be too thin. You can't see.
So what's your that idea?
Travel space I'm doing, I'm probably launching soon, maybe next week as a beta site. So what basically wants to do is plan itinerary for someone who wants to travel based on their interest. Like if someone is interested in bird watching, for example, and they want to know which place to go in this particular season, then that is something I can suggest. If they have a destination in mind and time period, okay, then plan according to their interest. Okay, the person is good, would like to see museums or whatever place, then the itinerary will be based on that thing. And if that person doesn't have a destination in mind, then something which his interest is, okay, this is the good seasons to visit ABC for or based on your interest kind of. That's something what I'm working on.
Then you city
PT is very simple. Go ahead.
Sorry.
He is a master.
I'm just trying to laugh. PT experience is simple. People might come and say that, okay, Make My Trip also will do it for me. Then why do you need to do this? Your pretty simple is that Make My Trip can book a ticket for me, not the bird watching.
Not the planning.
Not the planning.
See, people find it difficult to plan their trips, particularly when they don't know enough about a place. For example, people may not know that the Louvre is closed on Mondays.
Yeah, that's what we also experience.
And so you could have a story about somebody who wanted to see Louvre, who wanted to go to the pyramid section and the Egyptian section because they were interested in Egypt. And they spent so much money to go to Paris, and then they land up on early morning on Monday, only to realize that Cerro or something means closed in French.
Yeah,
They wasted a lot of money.
Add numbers to it.
And if you want, you can, I mean, if you have another client, with somebody else who is really interested to go and see the Louvre, and then, husband and wife, and so the wife starts blaming the husband, they had a lousy trip after that, all that you can add. If you are,
add numbers, emotions.
I didn't say that. Okay.
Create an integration between insurance company and travel company.
Oh, here reminds me of the sporting I saw. Do you have a headache? Maybe it's migraine. I mean, migraine was not so very widely talked about. Still, I saw the sporting where they're trying to create a psychosis that anybody having a headache, most probably it can be migraine. So then they come to the treatment to that particular reason.
Imagine, this is a graph. On the x-axis is gain, actual gain and actual loss. On the y-axis is perceived gain or pleasure and pain. Most of you know the first half of it. When you start getting more of it, you imagine you are newly married and you let it slip to your wife that you like curd rice and gobi manchurian. The first day you come back from work, what do you get? You feel very positive. Actual gain gobi manchurian, actual feeling positive. Then you come back on Tuesday again for dinner. What is for dinner? Curd rice and gobi manchurian. Too much. But slightly less. Third day you go and come back. What is for dinner? then Government Junior. The more you have of something, the less pleasurable or less pleasure you will derive of having it. Precisely. Economics always confuses us with these long terms. Law of marginal diminishing returns or diminishing marginal returns. This is a well-known. What Daniel Kahneman and Ramesh figured out was, in the negative side of things, actually it works slightly differently. Even a little bit of loss, people feel a steep loss. That's why when you start off, if you can start off with fear, pity, these are all negatives. Even if it is little, if you say, imagine, the others also are there, they did this and they gained 500 pounds or $500 or $500 million. Let's put it that way. This is of some value. But if you say, because of this problem, that they did not address it, or this client had a problem and could not address it, they lost about 2 million. The value you get is much more. Risk, loss avoidance is a huge human trait. We go to great extents to avoid pain. That's why pity and fear. To answer the question, that's why it starts with pity and fear rather than fear. I'm not saying.
My question is more of this is one line of thought.
You will always get some people with whom you share great relations, who either way happen to be your customer. But how do you establish a relationship? How do you establish a common ground? That's what we're talking about. If you already know the guy, you know him very well. You will anyway share his problems. Right? But even then, if you send a lady who resembles his ex-wife, you will have a problem. But that's the reason why we start with pity and fear, not with gain and glory.
Give me an example of a pitch. First pitch. It is all of the losses.
30% of your salespeople time, productive time, is wasted.
It's put to best use in political.
Oh yeah.
Trump campaign.
Oh yeah, that's a master. Yeah.
No, use of
Yes. This
Fear was more in that than the pity project.
Yes.
That was more of saying you will be in trouble, it's going to come and attack you, whatever.
Even rather
Yeah.
These accidents of history tend to happen.
What I'm saying is born in some other country.
Yeah. If what can become worse, what became worse will threatens to become worse. That's it.
I still wanted to get this.
Yes.
So, I think it's all in moderation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anyone is overdone. Right? I think it will have its negative impact. Even pity or even.
Yeah. So it has to be
When
done with
you force yourself to do something.
It has to be done with a little bit of refinement. It has to be two cases which you can back up with facts. You have to be authentic about this. You can't figure it. Because second level questions, you will start going over. And the moment you do stuff, you have. And people who like generally tend to exaggerate. So absolutely great point. It has to be done in moderation. But this is the way you try to get some total in a place where you don't have it. You guys are figuring out where to sell, how to sell, who do I approach, what should be my opening sentence, what should my pitch look like, not just to a prospect, but also to an investor. But today I'm not taking the investor. I can if you want to. But that's the kind of thing. So this is the starting point.
Another institution that uses this fear fear psychosis is religion, right?
Very much. Other thing I will tell you that few startups which came up lately, last 3 years and 2 years, after the Wipro case, though it looks like that they imagine that kind of, they cannot talk so openly about, I'll tell you that some of the things, wearable securities, quite a few startups came up after that. It says that your kid will be given the GPS track, wearable security, wherever your kids go and all those, and you create a paranoid in the parents. And say that if it doesn't happen, then you know the instances which has happened 6 months back. Yeah. But if you start talking like this, then how do you get put off actually by that guy? He's only talking about this. Can you just talk about a little bit of, as you said correctly, a little bit of moderation, then you move to the game.
Yeah, you have to move to the game. That's the catharsis part. It's coming. Otherwise, unless you come across like that, and suddenly I come and say, hey, your head is on fire. What happens? You think I'm a jerk. I mean, can't I come with water and pour it on you? Or try helping you, your hair is on fire. So obviously, you have to finish it off. So it's important that you also give them the catharsis.
Yeah, right.
And that is where you come in.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys come in.
Right, and what I wanted to see how this would work out with a startup and an investor.
And that is later. Not this.
Yeah, I know, but
and
that's something that's
coming up.
That's
actually put up our next workshop. That should be because that will, if you don't do again the pity and fear, if you don't take that, you'll not get the investment.
So guys, can you do the fear? Fear understood. Same this thing. So fear for the prospect. It's just an extension of the pity. Fear for the prospect. Introduce an agent, introduce a situation. You can introduce a winter in Paris, a winter in Switzerland where they went, but that was a shady place. They didn't get heating. You could take that. They didn't provide the equipment. If they're going on a skiing all day, they provided defective ski equipment. And this fellow had a fall and had a fracture. But real stories. I'm just imagining stuff. I like imagining stuff. To me.
I did cross your mind.
Anything so people say, if you're a master salesman, what is it?
Context. See, 2 or 3 things. One is the context. One is what I call as the default personality of the sales guy. And the third is the soundness of the product. And all the methodologies are about 2 simple things. Making it difficult for the customer or the prospect to say no to you. And making it easy for the prospect to say yes to you. If you have a hit rate of more than 40% with that, you are a master salesman. I don't think any sales guy has a 100% track record. Even a 50% track record will be difficult. Very difficult. As they say, in sales we say this, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince. Can't do it.
Not just
I'll leave it at that.
And the reason for that, right? Why the stories like this? So then only you have so many pretty stories that. You have a lot of stories that why it should not.
So that's every prospect, don't view it as a sales. View it as a learning experience. Figure out what their problems are so that and collect those stories so that you can use them at the right time. Okay, don't ever think that because the prospect did not. Your failure is as a salesman is when you don't get a story out of your prospect. Try to get a story. Whether he buys or doesn't buy, forget it. That is secondary.
And you should create a repository of all the stories.
Yes.
Which is
So I'll tell you the template to create that.
At the end of the day, what we do actually, we insist on feedback. Whether you give me business or not, minimum thing that you should give me is the feedback. That why you.
क्यों ऐसा गलती किया? Sorry for the people who don't understand. Why did you do that mistake of not selecting us? There's some notice there. Your battery is very low. Oh, I can read from here. Still not old.
It's not my good.
Still not old.
The techniques is not my way. Exactly, actually on the lighter side, guys. You know, one of my previous organizations, the IT guy spoke actually mentioned a wrong statement when the server does not respond. So whatever the company was, it says that XYZ company is not responding. It is not the server responding. So my president called that guy so that it is not the company not responding, it's the server not.
It's not easy. You might have to think a lot more to refine your stories. But once you get that right, it becomes easier for you to. And it becomes easier for you to start collecting stories. The thing is, that's what, as Einstein put it very straight, maybe it's not the most appropriate quote. Because in insanity, he is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if the sales, if you're doing great with sales, with comment, whatever you have, continue with it. Precisely. Then you have to change the method. This is one method you could try. Mixed, but better than a blind faith. I'll put it this way. There was one company which was into placements. So they had a 4% response. And then they changed the message. The message was, what's placement means this is temporary for temporary jobs. Temp staff. Temp staffing. No, temp staffing. Temp staffing. B2B. So they changed the message and said, they started saying, what's common between the White House, a Formula One car, and a Boeing airplane, Boeing 747. In all three, the person you put in the driver's seat is the most important. Call us if you want the right person for the right job. The response rate went up to 16%, which is phenomenal for a so it works. What's common between the White House, the Formula One car, and the cockpit of Boeing 747? We're back live. Guys, done the fear? Done fear? Yes? Someone done fear? Here, over? Why? Fear over? 2 minutes. 2 minutes for you also. Fear over? Yes.
More fear. One fear will not be enough. And then you have a lot of fear.
You're finished. You're working.
While you're working on that, let me just share one more good fear story. Very interesting. One of the guys in Entrepreneur Cafe. Very impressive actually, because it's not about age. You can get inspired by anyone. You can get inspired by anyone. So he was actually, when he joined Entrepreneur Cafe, he was 19 years old. And he was studying there in college in the. So I asked him that what he said. He said, I'm running a company. At 19 or 20 years. Fantastic. How did you tell me, share your story? Very interesting story. He actually runs a cybersecurity company. Okay, and I said that what is your story? He said that 19 years old, 20 years old, I'm just maybe in the second or third or fourth semester. Who's going to give me business? If I go and talk about that, I'm very passionate about cybersecurity, I have solutions and all. No credentials. So what he says that what he did then, some of the top-notch companies like Intel or whatever you talk about were technologically very heavy. He said that I did ethical hacking of those websites. I found out the gap, like what happened to Zomato and all those now personally. He did it. And then when he was caught by Intel, then he said that I did it purposefully. I found out these are the bugs. You are so vulnerable to the world that anybody can find out and can hack your website. And I did it in a matter of 2 days only. And I'm declaring it to you. Then he said that then what next? Well, solution. You take it from me and I will fix it in the next 1 week.
And he did it. And Intel went ahead and featured his name on their website as the best ethical hacker and gave him the certificate. Then he went to Honeywell, showed that certificate that Intel is sponsoring me. And he got the deal from Honeywell at the age of 20. Now he's being sponsored by French government and he's gone to Paris at the age of 21 or 22. It's a matter of just 2 years only that he's gone there. So what I'll tell you that pretty and clear about that. Same thing, the story that he repeated everywhere. He went to Honeywell and talked about the same thing, that how he hacked. How he hacked.
Yeah, one story is more than enough. Sometimes. I did not vote for the Iraq war. That is the only story Obama had. Don't question my judgment. I'm better than the bunch of these guys. Ready? Yourself. Fear. Again, don't discount yourself. Don't discount yourself.
So, fear is travel thing. So, generally people land in a place where they are planned as much as they can, but they don't really, they are out of place. They are out of place where you do not know where the fish are. It's really a place where you don't have the same direction of. You don't shake hands for it, you do something else. It's a totally unknown place that you're going to make it familiarize with the place, with the locals, with the how to deal with the locals. You need to have the right planning, the right information. We help you overcome all the hurdles in the planning.
No, that's helping is different. Fear is.
Fear is the part where you are going something.
Can you personalize it? One of my class, I was hearing about this. Or you can take anything bad experiences from Make My Trip. You don't need to do anything. Select this, paste it as stories, and narrate the story, and call them up. Call those guys up. Let them say, can you record this and send it to me? Play it. Over and out. You can even videograph them if they're willing to. You've got a huge this thing. You've got that. Recruitment agencies have mouth shut. Not mouth shut. What is that? Glassdoor. Glassdoor. Mouth shut is there for bad products and services. You who was talking about, you were talking, you can check with reviews of British Gas, reviews of this thing. Pick them up. Take the best ones. You will have people on Twitter about it, people on Facebook about it, people on Mouthshut about it, everywhere. Just collect them all. Not everyone has to have united cases, united case study. They also provide passenger relocation services, right? They call it. So, here.
Usually we provide services, software services. Most of our clients use freelancer services.
Okay.
Like what the case study is like, due to a freelancer mistake, is losing the project.
Yep.
That causing him around 8 project, which is cost, each project costs around $6,000.
Okay. $48,000.
Due to one project loss, he's losing that much money.
Yes.
Instead of contacting the freelancer, recruiting contractor, we are starting a startup with more developers and good team. We can.
No, don't worry. Just stick to the fear. We are coming to catharsis. You can even add one more thing. Do you know that some freelancers put in some code so that you have to keep paying them?
And one more thing, they won't provide a service.
You have to keep paying them to continue using the software. They'll put some code in which only they can, and they have to send a key.
Yeah,
license
no
key.
realism.
So that fear also is there. Do you know? And you will have moonshot case studies of it. For plenty of you, moonshot, Facebook, Twitter, go see what the customers are pitching about the services. That becomes your case studies for pity and catharsis. And they're authentic, at least as authentic as it can be on the net. Lincoln was the one who said, no, don't believe the internet. There was a poster of him saying, don't believe in this, everything you see on internet. Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so fear done. Now you come in. How did the hero overcome this? You've got your guy turned pity and fear. Now that person has to have his catharsis, his solution. And that is where you come. I'm saying perhaps with your help, but it's actually yes with your help. Right? Can you do that? 15 minutes. That will close us for some time. After that, I have only a little bit. I won't hold you much longer. No, the same this thing. No. On the contrary, somebody else, and then he came to us, or on the contrary, for your case study, somebody else went to the same locations, had a great experience because of us, and avoided all these faults. Or my customer was having these serious problems, and then thanks to my software, my product, my tool, my services, he was able to come out of it. Education software, if you've already sold, that could be a catharsis. So having one client is good. Yeah, having at least one client is good. So one of your first things is to get at least one client. But otherwise, your catharsis is, imagine if they had used this service, they wouldn't have gotten into these problems. And that's why, because there's so many people suffering from this, we have the solution. That can be another way of putting it. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's what we say. What's the customer story? What does he identify with? It starts with the pity itself. Absolutely. So, but in relation to your product, what is it that they're not, without your product or your service, they are suffering? If you don't have that belief, you should be in sales. You should not be selling. So without my product, they will suffer. They will experience real danger to their existence, sustenance, prosperity, whatever it is. That needs to be there. So cite 3 different profiles. Just give me 3 different profiles. I'll tell you what the solution. Tell me.
What I've got from customers don't want to
So that's where your pity comes into play. Go and figure out who are the people who are actually having terrible experience with British gas. That gives you the story.
I just want to make sure they are also engaged. Guys?
Yeah, they're all engaged.
No, I'm saying that.
No, this was it.
I feel that because it's a little complicated.
No, his challenge is that a lot of them, see, he is doing the sales for a company called Energy Helpline. But most customers of his go directly to British Gas or whoever it is, and they consume the services. And when they have a problem also, they go directly there. They don't come to Energy Helpline. He's trying to switch them to Energy Helpline, who in turn provide the services. So what I was telling him was, fine, go and figure out in mouth shut, whatever, the bad experiences that some of the customers, some people have had with British Gas going directly. That gives you the entry point. Yeah, fine, we want to go with British Gas, but have you seen this experience of one of your own people from your country?
Before that, I think you need to know what is the call time, because it's a cold call.
Yes.
How much time do you have on a call? And what usually is the hook for them to proceed on the call further? Why do they buy and why do they not buy?
That's getting into money territory. My money territory. I'm just kidding. But it requires a far deeper. It requires almost, see, a real pitch like this typically will take about at least say 3 people from your team discussing stuff for about 3 to 4 days, with me facilitating it and things like that, before you come with different scripts for differences. That's the complexity of the question you asked. The simple answer is, one of the things you do is go to mouth shut or this thing. That is your starting point. How do I make my customer feel pitiful? And plus you would need to add a statement like the 30-90 infinity or something like that. Or what's common between this. Start off like that, get the hook, get them hooked, and only then repeat it. And the hook statement is a lot of creativity. There's a little science to it. Only guidelines are there. That's what I'm sharing. The actual thing requires quite a bit of creativity. And that's why my job cannot be replaced by an artificial intelligence machine.
Some of the businesses require you to do this repeatedly.
Yeah.
Not like you, I mean, there's a one-time deal and there's also continuous.
Yep.
I was just recently reached out to this Akshay Bhaskar. I generally donate very little, of course. But the thing is, it's very fun to reach out to the people who have actually given money before, who have some empathy. But the way of the same thing, what I didn't see them do is reach out to me more often. They don't keep in touch with me. They come and touch me only on the day that they want the money or they have a drive to. Somewhere today I decided that, okay, they come to me only for the yearly turnover that they have to make. They might be doing a good job, but still, I as a not a customer, but as a potential person to sell, I'm not so convinced today that I want to give them money. So part of the business is also to reach out and keep creating this pity fear part. Is that what you
see? If there is an existing customer, it's about pity, fear, and catharsis, but mainly pity and fear if they move away from you. Not to choose you, but to choose somebody else, or choose not to do business with you. So then the message is different. So And there are far more complexities also in the sense, like what we say is contract renewal and contract new, contract challenge contract and new contract and contract renewal. Contract renewal, you don't go and challenge status quo because you are status quo. Right? So there, your pity, fear, katha, your pity and fear is about telling them why it will be harmful to change. Issues in transition is one standard one. But other things, are you sure that the other person is financially stable? So there is this thing, and even the kind of salesman you send across, you typically are better off sending a slightly introverted person for challenge, for new, and an extroverted person for sustenance and renewals. I have written an article about it in LinkedIn. You can go and see. Who do you send? An introvert or an extrovert? Again, based on science or based on research. Human behavior cannot be categorized as science, perfect science. And again, we are talking probabilities here. We are not talking certainties. Every human being has a different, level at which they react. Yeah, in the context. So we just started trying to improve chances. Yep. So it's a more complex subject.
Yeah. Even for the new product to be sold, our first-time customers also, usually sales people need to be extrovert in nature so that they actually convey the message in a very effective way.
Read my on LinkedIn. Ramesh Doreraj, who do you send for a sales? Introvert or extrovert? Read that article and then comment on it and we can have a nice war on LinkedIn. 101 public. I'm just kidding. The same exchange of thoughts is always important. Because it's far too complex to go into right now. Catharsis, all done? Catharsis done? Sure. Don't discount yourself. Yes. Okay.
And this is a industry which is dominated by leaders who are, a few of them are century old. Japanese, and this was tiny industry. So I came up with this contract manufacturing deal that we could offer our clients. But I just met this CEO of a German firm whose portfolio did not include cutting tools. And we were now getting into offering turnkey solutions. So there, the thing that I offered him was, this bit is missing in our portfolio. It was a simple plug, no oversale.
The thing, once you say this is missing in your portfolio, if he's the CEO, he gets the message. It need not be this full pity, fear, catharsis, Sometimes you get these remarkable insights. I had the head of marketing of Infosys at that time, he narrated this story when he was young and he had just joined, I think, PricewaterhouseCoopers at that point in time. So he, along with this senior partner, the very senior partner, went to Bank of Baroda to pitch for some accounting stuff and auditing stuff. So they went into this meeting in, I think, somewhere near Connaught Place. Went into this meeting, table, bankers, old fellows, old looking like this. And this senior partner, after introductions, just said one thing. He said, 12 of your branches in Delhi cannibalize revenues from each other. Immediately everyone got up. How is that possible? Then he showed the numbers. How cannibalization of stuff is really happening. You're just shifting accounts from here and there, and they're all reporting we have one account, we have one account. He said after that they didn't ask who are you putting on the job? This thing, what is your price? Nothing. Is it? When will you start? How will this be executed? What do you see are the risks? It was about almost as if they given the deal and they won the deal. So if you get such memorable insights, that's an amazing way of selling to a person. Then you don't need too much of this. Yes, it's a risk loss avoidance. Yeah, absolutely. Introvert.
I'd like to add one thing to that.
Yeah.
So basically, it's about the fear of losing to the competition, right?
Yes.
Where, you find out something.
Absolutely.
So that
And yeah, and with the CEO, when you're talking to very senior people, one of the things I've seen about there are two things about very senior people that I've seen. One is attention deficit. They have the attention of a 2-year-old tyrant of a boy. One. Okay, fine. Granted. Now I've lost my thought. The second one is that they have a very vivid imagination. So you just have to trigger that imagination. They get it. I know you're driving through the jungle. I think 2 weeks ago there was an elephant attack. That's enough. They will imagine the whole thing. Whereas some people like me and all, okay, fine. I'm very good. Won't get what you're trying to say. They have very vivid. So a little bit of fear that you give that there is a gap in your portfolio is enough. He knows how to fill it. Okay, man. Thanks. It's a beautiful insight you gave.
And if I can add, one more important thing is that, like fear, probably in your case, it's mostly applicable in B2B, because many of the people are having doubt that whether this will be applicable in B2B, because B2B is equally. So if you have insight and the coach in your client's territory can give you information, will give you exact scenario where the CIOs and CXOs have the fear.
In this case, he gave
me. Yeah. Brilliant.
I got the information, I extracted the information from him.
So that, but that's like, everybody. It's like everybody in the cricket team, first 6 batsmen hitting double century. Very rarely it happens. Or hitting centuries, let's say. It happens very rarely. How many CEOs can you say you have had that kind of a relationship with where you got information and that's the thing. So an outlier like that, if you get those kind of outliers every day, please join my team. Because I talk to CEOs. My main customers are CEOs and CSOs. So I would love to have you on my team if you do it on a regular basis.
My job did not involve I usually expect from the person.
It's good. You have that now.
It's a personality trait or cannot be developed?
It can be developed.
But it's an inborn personality.
No, it's not. It's trainable. See, the thing is that there's always this conversation about whether leaders are made or born, teachers are made or born, salesmen are made or born. I think there is both nature and nurture in everything. And there is a compensating factor.
And more successful.
So it's easier. No? That's why you're in that profession. Because you think it comes naturally to you, or you at least think you have that. I mean, I don't think anybody goes into a profession saying, I'm going to suck at this. Right? I mean, it's.
No, they do actually.
Because my parents told me. But what happens is once you get in also, you tend to gravitate towards what you like within the job also. You tend to do that. Yes, there are some few miserable souls out there. You can't, I mean,
Law of karma.
Whatever, they must have really done something bad in their previous life. So they must have kicked a dog or stoned a monkey or something. That's why. So one of the things people usually ask me is, okay, man, stories are there. Are there patterns of stories? These are the 7 types of stories that are there in the world. People have done research on it, analyzed it, and distilled to these 7 types of stories. Remember, each of them has pity, fear, catharsis inside them. But overcoming the monster. Most often than not, if you see the heroes, even Hercules for that matter, strongest fellow, this, that, but he's rejected by his dad in the story. He's the illegitimate son of Zeus or whoever it was. Mother is killed, he's left alone. Pity gets generated even if he is very gifted. Harry Potter, magician, but ill-treated by his foster parents. Not even a birthday is celebrated of this guy. But he is one of the best magicians out there. Very gifted guy. This guy, Luke Skywalker, has the force with him, all that. But again, living with his uncle, not being allowed to go to college or whatever it is, being asked to stay on further to farm the moisture or whatever in that planet. What is that planet? Tatooine or something like that. So that's, even if they're gifted, they're shown some bad things that have happened to them and this thing. And the more the pity, the greater is the empathy that you gain for the hero. So overcoming the monster, rags to riches is very straightforward. That is a pity and fear. I don't know if you've seen that movie, Pursuit of Happiness, with the wife. Brilliant, brilliant, absolutely brilliant on that. The Quest. I think a lot of you've seen Vittalacharya movies, magic movies, where this guy has to cross 7 mountains, go and kill a parrot which will have a heart, and then kill that. Then it will open the door. Then he has to go through something and then kill something else, and only then this magician will disappear. This evil magician will disappear. So all those stories of quest.
One question I have.
Yes, sir.
When you're selling, let's say, platforms,
yes,
it is challenging the status quo.
Yes.
It might be you're using Excel and you're using a better platform. Then which of these templates are you?
Okay. Quest can be one. Quest for efficiency, effectiveness, better customer service, all of that. Overcoming the monster. You're maintaining it in multiple Excel files all over the place. And then the auditor becomes the monster. Or the income tax guys become the monster. Whatever it is. So based on that, you can choose one of them. Comedy is very straightforward. It's like Midsummer's Night's Dream. General happy story. Happy story. But introduce a little bit of pity and fear if you can. Even though the comedy is, the happiness is more. Tragedy is you generally avoid using it in business contexts. Unless it's about something like, I think a lot of people make money out of it. There are enough authors who made a lot of money over Enron's failure. Hundreds of books about it. It's about tragedy. So you can cite the case of a tragedy and say that I don't want you to be. And people use Kodak as an example. He is already used Vibji or he is using Stazilla or Snapdeal. All are nice tragedy stories that you can use. But basically hinting that avoid this with me. That is the catharsis. Rebirth. Rebirth is when you think your customer needs to pivot. Then you can bring stories of rebirth. But very rarely does it happen. People who want to move from being a products company to a services company, or shift from being an analytics company to an IoT company, stuff like that. You can use some examples of rebirth. The thing is, the story templates are there. Because usually what we have when we have a story, when we want to tell a story is, how do I start? Is there a template? For us, template filling is very easy. IT fellows mostly, we like to fill templates. Even coding was in templates, right? Public static void main, open braces, close braces, right? So templates are there. So I've just named all of them. Void in return is Ulysses. So, and I don't know how many of you have read that article and also a TED talk about why CEOs and senior people need to read fiction. Not just business books, but also fiction. I would advise you to go through this at least. Look at the movie, see the movie Ulysses and King Lear. Most of them are movies. Phoenix is the rebirth. But these are templates. Within the template, use pity, fear, catharsis. These are starting points for you. How to start? It's not a how to, what do you say after you say hello? It is how to say hello. This is about how to say hello and how to give a pitch within 3 to 5 minutes in a way that it relates to your prospect by having the prospect as part of your story.
We have several of us have shared their perspectives and the way they communicate. What is the scientific way of structuring and putting a proper words in a proper place so that it becomes a structure and that actually helps the prospect by product? More scientific or maybe analysis, some kind of.
Unfortunately, then I don't think there's too much of science behind it. See, we use what is called the TIPS framework. There are a lot of frameworks around the place. Any of your sales methodologies give you frameworks for that. So you have trends, structuring the statement. So you have trends, and the trends, what are the implications? And because of the issues and trends, what are the problems? And then what is the solution? Yeah, that's what it is. And that's what I mean by pity, fear, and catharsis as well. Trends and issues is about pity and fear, and problems is also about fear. And solution is about catharsis. I would say talk as if you're talking to somebody across the coffee table. Your friend across the coffee table.
So once I tried that, actually I'm talking to a friend about a business.
Yes.
And he said it's so friendly, it doesn't look professional.
No, he's wrong. He's wrong. Unless you had become over friendly and started using yar, ki, all those different inflections that we use inside, and it became very informal, extremely casual. Not informal, but casual. You shouldn't be casual.
A lot of it comes down to your personal style.
Yes.
Like, there's no set formula. It comes down to what you can carry, what might work for one, may not work for someone.
Yes and no. Some amount of research into your customers. What is your prospect story? What are his concerns? What are their issues? That way. The delivery style you can. See, delivery style is personality based. To a large extent, it's personal. But try to, what we call as, try to have an element of gravitas. Don't be too serious about it, as if you're in a funeral. But don't be as casual as if you're in a comedy show, in a comedy talk show. Keep it moderate, and that helps you.
What might be extreme or moderate again comes down to individual, right?
Well, no, not just the individual. It's also about culture. It's also about which culture you're selling into. Germans don't understand most jokes. Their sense of humor is completely. They have a brilliant sense of humor, but it's completely different.
Talk about Japanese.
Japanese.
There are workaholics. If you think that you're going to catch a joke and give them a lighter moment in between, first they will think that, oh, he's not serious about the quality.
But they will joke.
Yeah, but suppose
And a lot of them have a dirty mind. A lot of them have a dirty mind.
no, but most of the deals with them happen over the weeks and more than that.
Also, in Finland, it's when you go to a sauna. In sauna, you're supposed to go naked, by the way. And so once everything is no inhibitions, nothing, and then the sale happens. So that's why most of the Indian IT companies, they have an office in Finland. It's a Finnish salesman, it's not an Indian salesman. Because only they can do that. Most Indian salesmen can't do that. Seriously, not kidding.
Good salesman should explain all this.
You're welcome, sir. I don't have the courage. That's the, yeah, so culturally it differs. But at the same time, having this kind of a conversation, see, you can have this in a light-hearted way. You can have it in a very serious way as well. But what we say is try to keep that little gravitas, that people take you seriously. You don't come across as a joker. But at the same time, try not to come across as one sourpuss. You know, who sees the view, who views the world as a miserable place. Some people do that. I don't know where they get the joy from. Let's start there.
But naturally, what Ramesh, probably my experience also is that I think what we are going through is that how to be natural to them. If they see the natural, I think honesty actually reflects. This guy is going to do it. So the moderation is that you are so light that they don't get the confidence that this guy is committed. And you are so serious, they don't get the confidence that this guy will get along with me. So you do not know, oh, very serious, yeah, I don't know what you're going to do.
An analysis was done of people's expressions and things, word over. And everybody kind of concurred. Why, when a person is feeling happy, when a person is faking happiness, when a person is sad. So emotion faces, poses, all of it are fairly common around because we all belong to the same species, Homo sapiens. So some of that is wired in us. Some cultural differences do exist, but as long as you're within those boundaries, most of the time you be your normal. You don't have to, take extra effort to be someone different from who you are. That's very exhausting, actually. After some time, it really becomes exhausting. Yeah. And you come across as a fake. You will come across as a fake after some time. Absolutely. No, unless he's very dumb or he's got some disorder, they'll realize it. There are some people who completely lack empathy. What's the time, sir? 8:45. I think we need to stop here. This is homework for you guys. You've got the seven different story templates. See if you can refine your stories based on those. Whether you have, if you want to change it to those.
There are only 7 templates.
Unfortunately, there are only 7.
I'm sure we can think of it.
No, there are only 7 researchers. See, there's a guy called Joseph Campbell. One of the first these things is done. Obviously, the first one, Pity, Fear, and Catharsis, was done by Aristotle. Joseph Campbell in just after World War II, 1945-46, visited some 100 countries, collected all the myths, and said there is only one monomyth, which is hero's journey. Monomyth. Single myth is a storyline. Monomyth is what he called it. Everything is about a hero's journey or a heroine's journey. Yes. The Phoenix is a thing. People following and then rising up. Bring get back to glory. Chakde India.
You can be the hero for the big mergers, integration. Now, how the SoftBank is trying to do for Snapdeal.
Okay, that ends my presentation. Thank you very much. Any questions?
So, before the question, just to tell you that it's only easier from you. And if you want to actually have a detailed workshop also, that can also be organized. Definitely, we have got a lot to do actually on this one, I think. I'm not sure. I liked it. And it makes so much of sense to all of us, I think. And generally, my takeaway always is that anything that I learn or probably in the workshop is that how I can be natural. What are the tools that I'm getting to become natural? And these are, I think, most natural thing that can happen to you.
Stories are the way, as I said, are the only way that people understand each other.
And thing is that probably what I was trying to write in the mail and all those is really actually I meant it. Is that if you become a part of that person's story or what's going on in the brain, you did not think too much about it, that what I'm going to do, whether he's going to fool me and all those. At least he's lacking the conversation. There's a chance that you'll go to the next step. As he said correctly, is that there's no sales deal is bad. If you have not got, you have learned. If you have got it, you got a deal. And at least you see that I have proceeded at least one step ahead, and then I went. Some of the deals, like your 60% of that, 30% may have actually failed in the first stage. Got it. Some have failed in the second stage, third stage. Everything has got a learning behind it. And just about, again, I think many of you know about Entrepreneur Cafe. It's very important for you to know this. We do actually events, and next event which is coming up, not here, it will be in the Hive. And I would definitely urge all of you to register for that. The reason is that
just tell them where Hive is.
The Hive that you know, that is in the VR Bangalore Mall. Okay, so they are another partner. So like how Good Work is our partner, they are also. They have larger space. So when we have the larger workshop with Ramesh, we'll actually do it over there. We'll do a little lot. Okay, so teasers are done there, and so next 24th June, I think you all must come. Why I'm actually urging is that there's we have a partner friend called Ryan Sachar. He is a US guy, American guy, and he is a very famous US attorney in US. And he got networked with us. Now he's a good friend of mine and many other people. And what's his interest is that genuinely, again, I told you that a lot of people, good people, come to your network for different reasons. He is ready to actually help the Indian startups to open a company there and give you all the know-how about legalities. So he will join us through Skype from US, and good enough for him. It's early morning for him. Because actually again 5:30, so he said that doesn't matter, I will join. So he will join us from there, from US, to tell us that what are the nitty-gritties of that. Again, we have an India counterpartner. She is actually the Indian attorney. She is expert in IP and trademarking. and she's going to share a little bit of it if the whatever time is left, and she will come back again in the next session. So that would be there. So it's very important that as we are moving forward, what are the different elements in our startup that we must be aware of and know that who are the people can help you out. So definitely it's not a lonely journey. It has to be supported and helped by many people. So these are the things. And this is on 24th June. So remember that, mark your calendar. It's very important. So likewise, we have so many things. I think just to give you a little bit, next 3 months is packed with workshops. Next workshop, which is coming in the July first week, most probably it will happen is that is about preparing your PPT. It's very hands-on workshop for the investors pitch. They have got template, they have got all the things. They will just tell you that. We have, and as you said that, Yusuf, no? What's your name? No, I was saying actually when I was in Dubai, people used to think that I'm from Pakistan. So, having said this, we are actually having a session coming up on the GST also. So GST session is coming up, and the finance completely. We have actually a shared CFO also. He has around 40 years experience in supporting startups and SMEs. We can give it.
This is more to understand the other finances. What it entails to
Everything. So whole gamut will be given to you. So we'll actually present the whichever way, maybe the teaser like this, and then people can pick that what you want from that, and definitely we can work it. That's also there. I think I'm not sure some of you came in the last session, which was equally good like this one. That was about the operation strategy for startups, which was absolutely, I think, relevant. Only thing that we learned from that. So likewise, and then we have another one that would be coming in the month of July. We are bringing in startup evaluator. So they would actually tell you about that, what are the parameters of startup evaluations. And that lady will be, she has done her most of the evaluation work in UK. So she will bring her global exposure also to us, which will happen in the height. So format is like this, one here, one there. So two would be there actually every month. And hopefully this month end, we should be able to launch our app and the portal along with this, where you can register yourself against event or something, but you must register yourself as a startup company also. And that would have all the parameters about your peers can rate you. So that you will have the rating, your solutions, your differentiators. So that if I am actually looking for a website development company, if I am looking for something else, some other like travel or something, so I should get this solutions within this group. So what we are trying to do is that we are going to go to 1,000 startups within this group, and it's good enough to create business within us. Let's start with that. So there is another feature that would actually come up, and the second feature that would come is within this 1,000, you can easily actually run your survey to know that where your idea will click or not. You'll not get 100% feed, but at least you'll have a starting point. At least you'll know that whether you at least you can go to the next step or not. So this is a small thing, and we have also launched another one, indiaglobal.org. You can go and explore that. That has got NGO of all the stalwarts across the globe. So how we are planning to is that this is about startups, that is about indiaglobal.org. The people from India who have made to the global arena, those are the people are there actually. So those people, what we are planning is that once we actually collect data, curate data, we know who are going to do who, what, and all that. We'll actually connect those people also to us. A lot of plans are there, and November, every year we do annual event also. Like we just have workshops every month, Likewise, we have one final annual event which happens in one of the cities. First happened in Delhi, this one happened in Bangalore, December 2016. This year is happening in Perth, in Australia. And most of the things are all organized. We have the hall booked, everything booked. Special attraction for people is that we'll have a visit of Vata ground, because one of the convention center is there in Vata. So that's there, and we are seeing that how we can have sponsorship for some of the startups and some of the people who can travel from there. Because the whole dream was all about that 15 to 20 startups, we can take them along with us and get them exposed to the global platform. So that would be great for us. So that's actually that what we're dreaming about. So thank you so much. Stay tuned and keep attending all the workshops, because it's all coming free to you. And as we said that this all actually we are doing voluntarily, and we expect all of us actually support each other. This is how we can actually support the startup community, because nobody else will come from the outside and tell you that I'm going to help you, because this is the community which knows the most about each other.
What about the PPT presentation period? When is that?
That would actually happen in the July first week.
Is that a full day?
Will not be full day. If anything happens in the full day, will be ticketed actually. Anything which will be done. Thank you so much. Stay back. We'll just take one snap.
Okay.
When the two snacks are being looked at, they're not very good.
Yeah.
Several days because so how they're not ready to pay.